The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. That's right, the book that was split unnecessarily into 2 films because that's what everyone does nowadays finally is coming to an end. This is the film where things finally come to a head, the hatred for the capital, the districts all banding together to hold an uprising against the capital and the evil President Snow. And Katniss herself, played by Jennifer Lawrence, at the center of that, trying to rally the troops and trying to do what she can to bring this evil empire to an end. To me, Part 1 was a very unnecessary movie. I didn't think that book needed to be 2 films. It was very slow moving, and there are still shades of that left over in Part 2. There were aspects of this movie that are deathly slow. And I mean snail-pace slow. For some scenes, that really works because they're going for a level of poignancy here with this story. It's meant to really touch you. It's meant to feel very serious and very grim. I mean sad. This is a very sad movie. There is barely a ray of hope coming through the clouds throughout the entire runtime of this film, and it should be that way because the story is very dark. It's a sad time period these characters are living in, but that slow pace can be punishing sometimes, where you're just begging for something to happen. Gratefully, unlike in Part 1, something does happen, and some actual exciting scenes occur in this, but they come so few and far between. You get really thrilled for a second and then it goes back to this extremely slow, quiet film that is a bit refreshing in a way, because a lot of these novels that are adapted into movies are trying to be so big and appeal to such a wide audience that it is a breath of fresh air to actually see a movie that does take itself seriously. The problem is certain aspects of this movie really go against the grain of that seriousness, where you're in this world where you feel like everything is very realistic. And then all of a sudden there's these xenomorph knockoff creatures running around in the sewers. So even though that sequence with these things they call mutts was exciting, it just didn't feel like it fit in. So there were aspects of the movie that felt so self-serious, almost to the point of absurdity, and then all of a sudden these really heightened, like summer movie extravaganza scenes that were very betraying of that serious tone. For me, the one major positive throughout this entire series that has never wavered has been Jennifer Lawrence. She's fantastic once again in this movie, and she has a lot of chances to shine in this movie and not shine. And what I mean by that is there are times where she is very emotionally subdued, except for a couple scenes she's very locked down emotionally in this movie, and that was really refreshing as well, because I see so many movies or people are overacting. You're like, I get it, you really want that Oscar, but she was just so calm and quiet, and she gave a very strong performance. Definitely the best part of this movie, where in past Hunger Games movies there was comic relief by Woody Harrelson, there's very little of that here. This is a very dark and a very grim movie, and sometimes overly sad to the point where you're like, oh my god, like it's just. But I think that for most Hunger Games fans overall, this movie will be a satisfying conclusion for them. I liked it more than Part 1. Some things of interest actually occurred in movie, so that was good, and the acting is terrific. But the crushingly slow pace throughout almost the entire first half, and even into the last half, can sometimes be really deadening to the spirit of this movie. It needed a little more energy. It didn't really feel like the stakes were that high. I just felt like I was witnessing scenes that were planned out and shot well and acted well, but I never really felt like I was like biting my nails. I just didn't have that moment. Nevertheless, I think most Hunger Games fans will probably find enjoyment in this last chapter of their beloved franchise. I'm gonna give Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Well guys, that's the end of the Hunger Games franchise. I still remember seeing the first one back in 2012. It's crazy how time flies. What did you guys think of this last installment? So the review is finished here. See you in other video. If you want to watch other Hunger Games part, the link is in description. Thanks for watching.